Folks, I denounce racism in all its forms. I believe it's a sin abhorrent to humanity, and I wish it did not exist. The problem is, today, everyone seems to be tossing the word racism around way too freely. And if somebody disagrees with your political opinion or you simply don't like them, then, well, they must be a racist. There's no logic, there's no proof, there's no basis, they're just a racist. Racism has become our current insult du jour, and here's the logic. If I don't have the ability to debate the person with whom I disagree, then I must by all means resort to one final tactic in the argument. I must characterize them with a term that I know everyone hates. Thus, your opponent becomes either a sexual harasser or a Nazi or a racist. You just placed upon them the burden of escaping the accusation and guilt, and that gets tricky. Now, if a person is an actual racist, then it should be easily proven. Their words, their actions have defined them beyond doubt. They should be properly defined as such, rebuked and corrected. Their people closest to them should be able to admit, yes, he has these actions and characteristics. But let me be clear, I'm not talking about stupid things that are said or done mistakenly, purposefully, or even in jest in one's past. That is not racism. Those are occasions of immaturity and ignorance. Now, we've all had them. Just ask Bill Maher.
You're welcome. We'd love to have you work in the fields with us.
Work in the field?
That's part of that. That's
Senator, I'm a house. No, it's a joke.
To say otherwise about yourself is a lie, and you know it. Maturity demands that we move past that ignorance and into a more considerate and intelligent way of thinking and behaving. We all must put away childish things. Now, if you call someone a racist without proof or cause, then you yourself commit a sin that is equally as atrocious as racism itself. You have vilified someone and made them guilty without proper cause. You have no true basis with which to judge them, and in fact, you have actually diminished the actual hideous reality of true racism that does indeed, unfortunately, exist in the hearts of some. Your intended classification of an individual as a racist where no racism exists actually lessens the importance of the word. Now look, I get called a racist every day by those who wish to politically disagree with me or engage me in debate. Why? Now, there's no proof of that accusation, just assumption. I'm a white, heterosexual Christian male of Southern heritage with strong opinions that happens to lean towards conservative politics. Does that make me racist? Well, my Jewish business manager, my gay Hispanic entertainment agent, and my black liberal IT manager don't think so, but you be your own judge. Now, let's get to the heart of what true racism is. How many races of people are there in the world? Well, there's only one, and that's called the human race. Now, for those of you that consider yourselves Christians, I'll remind you, the Bible does not use the word race at all in reference to people, but it does describe all beings being of one blood. In fact, Acts 17:26 says that God is made of one blood, all nations of men, for to dwell on the face of the earth. So apparently, we're all related. Hey, what a shocker. Welcome to the family. Unfortunately, that mindset is a foreign concept to many, and I'm going to tell you why. You see, in 1859, Charles Darwin published his book on the origin of species by means of natural selection for the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Mr. Darwin's evolution theory was and still is inherently a racist philosophy, teaching that different groups of races or people evolved at different times and rates, so it would stand to reason, according to his theories, that some of us are still more ape-like than others. You use whatever word you want to use. His idea, not mine. Now, scientists have proven that we're all biologically the same. We are all holding on to race as a social construct when it has no biological reality. The difference that sets us apart are cultural, not racial. The word race is actually pretty meaningless, but unfortunately, we like to be able to label people so that we can judge them accordingly. We don't even get skin deep anymore. Now we label on the basis of clothing, whether it's a hoodie or a police uniform. I mean, isn't that what Hitler did with the Jews during the Holocaust? Which, by the way, is a perfect example of the consequences of Darwin's evolutionary thought. We get so caught up in the trivial things that make us different, such as skin color or eye shape, when genetically those things only differentiate us by 0.01%. What we suffer from is not racial, but rather cultural. Now, cultural differences are to be understood and in most cases appreciated, not attacked. No piece of true art is painted with just one color. Now, as a white male American, and yes, I am one, I don't pretend to know what it's like to be a person of color in this country. That's never been my struggle. I hate that slavery ever existed any time in human history, but I do know what it's like to be a minority. I worked and lived in Africa for 20 years of my life. I've spent months at a time in various countries. I know what it's like to live in Nigeria and be mocked because I'm white, to be called Oibo or Mamuye as I walk down the street, or to be judged on the color of your skin. Unfortunately, is worldwide. And until we recognize that we're all of the same blood and the same human race, we will never reconcile those cultural differences and embrace each other's as equals. And yes, my friend, no matter what you read on the internet today, we are equals. I love y'all. God bless.